Good afternoon and welcome to Old Trafford, Manchester. The divisional championship game is the first game on the agenda before the Stones Bitter Premiership final. Oldham and Sheffield are contending the divisional premiership as it's known this season, and the teams this afternoon are as follows. At full-back for Oldham, Duncan Platt. The Oldham three-quarter line is Ronson, Nicklin, Rapati and Tyra. A half-back partnership of Russell and Martin. The front row of Sherratt, Pachnewick and Newton, with the back three of Joint, Tapea and Byrne. Their substitutes are Warburton and Street. The Sheffield Eagles side, at number one, the full-back position, Maiko. The three-quarter line for Sheffield is Gamson, McAllister, Powell and Plange. The half-back partnership is Price and Aston, with Broadbent, Cook and Waddell in the front row. Lawton, Hughes and Farrell are the back three. Lum and Mumby are the substitutes. Good afternoon, as we say, ready for football action. Both captains centre field. Mick Cook for Sheffield. And it looks like Richard Russell. I beg your pardon, it's Pachnewick. He's got number 6 on his back there. It looks to me a 6, I don't know. Well, it's number 6, Richard Russell, who's the captain. I do beg your pardon, but we're ready for the divisional premiership final. The kick-off, the coin has been tossed. You're with Micron Video, the leaders in Rugby League videos, and we're here, as we say, at Old Trafford, Manchester. Sheffield to kick off, playing to the Stretford end. As you can see, development at the Stretford end here at Old Trafford, just cutting the capacity down by quite a few thousand, and quite a clamour for tickets, obviously from Wigan and St Helens, who are contesting the Premiership final later on, the next game here. But you've got to cater for 4 lots of spectators on this occasion, this double-header occasion. Excellent game in prospect, John.
Yes, this should be a great game. Sheffield have had a fantastic season, and when these teams have met earlier in the season, it's been a seesaw effort. First one side winning, and then the other. Back to you as the game started.
Yes, Sheffield kick off. Oldham in possession. The early minutes are going to be crucial, just as they are in any game of rugby. Second row forward there, Chris Joint getting the ball away. But solid tackling for Sheffield, the ball's loose. The referee saying it's gone back, but it certainly looked as though it had rolled forward. But it's Oldham in possession. Sheffield will try to press them in their own 25. And look for a mistake. But solid tackle in the name of the game, and positional kicking downfield. David Maiko gathers it, sidesteps. Away there past Vince Nicklin, but Sheffield keep it rolling. Darryl Powell, Great Britain international, coming away with it. Mark Aston, he quickly steps up at acting halfback. Hugh Waddell, ex-Oldham campaigner, had a spell at Leeds as well, but now attacking half-back, Mick Cook, the captain. Short ball there, Aston tries to get his side going, and Cook stepping up again as Sheffield regroup and look to put a plan move together. Aston again, a gap emerging here. Well, Darryl Powell there in possession, gave the ball out to David Plange, but tempers just getting a little heated. A good start from Sheffield, John, putting a lot of pressure on.
No doubt both these sides are really fired up. The ferocity of the tackling is absolutely amazing. Both sides throwing everything they've got at each other. And in these early stages, it's the Sheffield Eagles who are on top. Ron?
Tommy Martin to feed. Oldham ball. They move it quickly across, but solid tackling there. Richard Price going in. But now Tommy Martin again. He's a class footballer, this Martin. Gets the ball away, loose forward there, Jed Byrne. Quite a few changes from the official team printed in the programme. Byrne was in at standoff, but he's now at loose forward, and Richard Russell, that was at loose forward, back in the standoff position. But it's Oldham again, looking to spread it. Ian Sherratt, big block busting forward, trying to power his way forward. Solid Eagles defence. Chip kick through there. Tommy Martin, well unlucky there, just didn't get a favourable bounce. Sheffield come away with it. Donald Powell, I think it is. But solid tackling there from Oldham. They come in, Keith Newton, one of the tacklers. And Sheffield spreading it over to the right. Just over 3 minutes of the game we've had. No score at present. But certainly been some tough tackling. As John said before, nothing more than you can expect. Both teams all fired up. Sheffield were the champions of the second division. Oldham in third position. Here's Charlie McAllister, big Kiwi. Went over to Sheffield in a deal which brought Eva Rapati to Oldham. It's the sixth and final tackle now. Sheffield spread it. Waddell, quick hands there, and they've got to spread it. A breakaway, and Sheffield there. Oldham have Sheffield have possession. They keep it going. It's chipped through. Oldham man knocks it into touch. Well, they did well there, John. Sheffield on the sixth tackle, and finally it's a scrum down with the Sheffield feed.
Great determination there by Sheffield. He just would not die with the ball, and it's coming off nearly all this game is in Oldham territory.
It's Aston to feed, and an ideal platform for Sheffield to build on. They get possession. They're moving it quickly over, looking for the gap, and look at the gap there. Sheffield driving for the line. Oh, just brought down short. David Michael linking up, but it's Donald Powell. Can he stretch? Yes, he's in. Donald Powell opens the scoring for Sheffield. An excellent movement there. Well deserved of a try, but it all started on the other side when Sheffield put pressure on Oldham on the sixth tackle. Oldham had to knock it into touch. The scrum was a Sheffield feed. It was spread over to the left, just in front of our commentary position, and Powell finished it off. Excellent try, John.
A great try that, and the pressure has paid off for Sheffield. They hammered away at the Oldham line, and from the scrum which they won through refusing to dive with the ball, they moved the ball beautifully across the field, split Oldham wide open, and it looked as if a try was on, but they were held just short of the line. And from the resulting play of the ball, there was absolutely no doubt at all that the Sheffield Eagles were going to be the first to get the 4 points on the board.
Yes, and haven't they done excellent, John, in just the short time that they've been in the Rugby League? One of the new teams, only formed in round about 1984, and they certainly coming on a bundle. They'll be back in the first division next season, John.
Well, everywhere you go in the Rugby League, there's great respect and admiration for what the Sheffield board and Gary Hetherington have achieved in 8 years. They've really built this team up to a force to be reckoned, and everyone was very sorry when they went down into the second division last year, and were delighted that next season they will be back in the top ranks again.
Cedar Stadium. Oldham kick off, Sheffield in possession, driving out of their own 25, 6 points to nil in the lead, and with just over 6.5 minutes of play. They're keeping it moving there, loose forward, Tony Farrell. The defence was on top of him as he got that ball, but Sheffield spreading it again. It's McAllister. Hefty boot on him, equally at home in the second row as in the centre three-quarter position as he is here today. So early days yet, but Oldham obviously looking to hit back with a score. Right on the centre spot, Oldham in possession, moving it right. Keith Newton taken down just inside the Eagles' half. Shane Tapia, second row forward, strong running forward. There's Oldham moving it to the left. Loose forward there, Jed Byrne making the gap. Well, Oldham should be on here, yes! Should score. Oh, is he brought down short? No, the try's awarded. Well worthy of a try there. Excellent movement from Oldham. A full 50-yard movement into passing. Started off at the centre spot. And then this loose forward there, Jedburn. A class player, ex-Wigan and Wakefield. He made the gap, John. I don't know who scored it just at present, but we're just waiting for the announcement. But an excellent try for Oldham.
A great footballing try. They moved the ball well. The men ran off the ball well to distract the Sheffield defence, and they were queuing up on the far wing to take the final pass. A little bit of a ooh went up at one of the passes. Some of the crowd thought it was a forward pass. However, referee was right up with the game.
Oldham in possession after Sheffield had kicked off. Solid tackling, trying to force the Oldham man in touch. Well, it's Oldham again, pegged in their own 25. Strong running. That's going to be the order of the day, but it's 75 yards away from the Eagles' try line. A good width pitch and a boiling hot day. It's warm enough up here in the gantry, but I would imagine it's very warm down there. David Plange beats the first line of defence, comes back in. But Scott Ranson redeems himself there. Well, I'm saying a local, Addison Tellings lad, obviously local for me. With me, Addison Tellings lad. He's come from Swinton to Oldham. Speedy lad. Let's see if we can put him through his paces this afternoon. Daryl Powell looking to create the gap. Mick Cook attacked in half. Brings it blindside. Waddell taking up the run-in. He breaks off the tackle there. Chris Joint looked a little high, but Waddell shook it off. But he's finally bundled to the ground. Sixth and final tackle of this sequence. Mark Aston brings it left. Sheffield spreading it. Donald Powell now chips it through for David Plange. Duncan Platt have to kick it dead. Well, he just got his fingers to it there, John, but Donald Powell, lovely floated kick.
That was very much touch and go. That was a beautifully placed kick, most accurate, and caused real panic in the Oldham defence. So, chance now again for Sheffield to regain possession and hammer at the Oldham line once more.
Yes, Oldham to drop out from between the sticks. Good kick there. 60-odd yards, and Sheffield bringing the ball up again. Paul Broadbent just getting involved in a little bit of the action there, but Oldham penalised for offside. Referee Cummings there, the witness referee, penalising Oldham. Nearly 12 minutes of the game, and I think that's the first penalty. We just had one clean scrum each, and that's the first penalty going Sheffield's way. Well, this divisional Premiership final, as it's known, it's the top 8 of the third division which play off, and the remaining 4 after the playoffs play the top 4 of the second division. And that's ended up with Sheffield and Oldham playing here today. Lee very much fancied. They was runners-up in the second division, but they went down in the earlier rounds, and Sheffield, the champions of the second division, versus Oldham, who came in third place. Well, a bad kick there, and Duncan Platt comes away with it for Oldham. Should have been a reasonable attempt, that. But unfortunately it went wrong, didn't go dead, and Oldham have possession. They're moving it quickly. Oldham keeping it going. Eva Rapati moving it over to the far side. Top try scorer with Oldham and Sheffield. Just came over in that deal which took Charlie McAllister to Sheffield. But it's Oldham again, spreading it. Chris Joint. Richard Russell now, looking to make headway. Patchnick at dummy half. And Oldham with positional kicking, forcing David Maiko to take the ball in his own 25. He brings it up to the halfway. Quickly dispatched to the ground there. A double helping of Sheraton Newton. Paul Broadbent taking 2 Oldham defenders with him. And Sheffield again, changing direction, bringing it over to the left. Richard Price there, bobbing and weaving, turns it back inside now, but has to take the tackle. Darryl Powell takes it back to Mick Cook. 10 yards inside the Oldham half. Charlie McAllister, the kick to come. Lofted kick, putting pressure on Oldham. Scott Ranson, he came for it. Well, he let it go up first, and then he ruled a knock-on. Certainly looks as though it gone a bit back to me, John, but the referee right on the job, and he's given a knock-on.
And that brings the Eagles into a really good attacking position. Scrum down about 15 yards out and with their own feet, so we could see a special attack. He did it well from the scrum before, and it results in a penalty.
Yes, Eagles won the scrum, and the Oldham scrum half there, Tommy Martin, coming round too quickly in referee Cummins' opinion. A penalty to the Eagles. They've gone for touch. Obviously 6 tackles and 20 yards from the Oldham line, and it's Hugh Waddell, first receiver. Cook at dummy half, feeds it cross field. Broadbent, I think it is, this big number 8 for Sheffield. Sheffield bring it blind. Darryl Powell, yes! Darryl Powell goes in there for his second try. So Broadbent it was, John. He took the running up, he took it centre field. A quick transfer into the ball, change of direction, and a lovely short ball to Powell, and he went over on the post. Mark Aston now hoping to convert this second Darryl Powell try. 30 yards out, 15 yards in from touch. Well, that's a splendid effort, right between the uprights. Another 2 points to the Powell try, 12 points to 4 the score now in the Sheffield favour. A lot better than that bit of a flapper he had from the last penalty kick, but Oldham kick it deep. Sheffield in possession, 17 minutes of the game gone, and 12 points to 6. The Sheffield Eagles are in the lead. Running hard and strong, Jed Byrne, one of the tacklers there, along with Ian Sherratt. But it's Sheffield in possession. Darryl Powell attacking halfback. Sheffield right up to the halfway line as McAllister chips it through. Duncan Platt there, recently got married, brother of Wigan international, Wigan and ex-Saints international Andy Platt. But it's Oldham now. Well, Shane Tupeya, it slips through his hands. It did go back, as the referee indicates. He manages to regather possession, but Oldham have lost about 15 yards there. Not very long ago, a lot of trouble in the Oldham camp, as much as ground possession and payments. Perhaps a club that nearly went out of the game. We're up here now in the top flight in the divisional Premiership playoff. They're trailing by 12 points to 4. And it's Tommy Martin, kicks it downfield, excellent kick from Martin. But unfortunately just doesn't find touch. Forces David Maiko back, and Scott Ranson going cross field, but he misses Maiko. Sheffield bring it away. Richard Price scampering away, nearly up to the halfway line. Cook at dummy half. Sheffield throwing it about. Lovely transfer into the ball. Darryl Powell again. He releases it, but a knock on. Well, certainly, John, not frightened of throwing this ball about, Sheffield.
And they're coming very hard onto it straight and slipping it very nicely, and that is causing gaps and causing a little bit of problems in the Oldham defence. This game is very far from over. Oldham at the moment wanting to bring on Mumbai, but it's very hot out there and the ground is very hard. But there's no doubt that Sheffield Eagles are finding the gaps in the middle of the field.
Yes, Tim Street, a popular figure there, just coming on, a blood bin replacement. So Oldham have 15 minutes now to get the injured player treated and tidied up. They come away with the ball from the scrum. Quick play the ball now, Ivarapati.
Number 15, Tim Street, replacing number 12, Shane Tapia.
So Oldham still in possession now. Moving it crossfield. Ian Sherratt. Pachinik at acting halfback. On to Russell, I think it is. It's taking it over there to the left. Pachinik at acting halfback. Oldham feed it inside. On to Tim Street now. Ex-Wigan and Lee block busting forward. He gets the ball away. And Oldham keep it moving. Jed Byrne there. Takes 3 Sheffield Eagles to bring him down. Tommy Martin again. High up and under. Testing ball for Michael. Pressure on him. Nowhere near. As Ranson goes for it. But offside. Oldham are penalised for offside. It's Tommy Martin that lofted a high ball. Put a lot of pressure on Michael then, John, and he missed it altogether.
Well, that caused panic in the Eagle ranks there, and since Street came on, he's showing a lot of power in the middle of the field. He'd taken a lot of holding as they were forcing the way down the middle, but Oldham coming more and more into the game. They almost over there to pull another try back then, but possession is back with the Eagles.
Yeah, still nothing in it, John. A try and a goal would have been very timely there for Oldham. Would have brought them back in with a couple of points, but it's Eagles that are in possession. Hugh Waddell, veteran campaigner, started off in rugby union round the Potteries area. Pachinik for Oldham, completing the tackle. Charlie McAllister now, running the ball up to the halfway line, 20 yards in from touchline. Cook attacking halfback. Sheffield with a deep kick. Duncan Platt takes it comfortably. Down the touchline is Duncan Platt. Excellent take, 20-35 yards. And now with Tim Street. Oldham now moving it left. Jed Byrne, lovely ball onto Ivarapati there. Now it's Oldham again. They've got to spread this ball. They've got to give it a bit of a... Well, it's all on that. It's come off a Sheffield man. Well, it's gone in by a Sheffield body there. But the kick through touched the Sheffield man. Should be Oldham feed. Scrum down with an Oldham feed. I think the touch judge just helping the referee out there. That's correct. He's pointed Oldham side. Sean Tyrer there, hurrying up the touchline. But it's one against the head. It's come out Sheffield way. Unlucky there before John. Sean Tyrer hurdling up there.
Well, persistence was paying off then for Oldham. Twice they forced the Eagles into making mistakes, and it resulted in a scrum with Oldham's put in. Unfortunately for Oldham, Sheffield won it against the head, and Oldham breaking quickly were adjudged offside.
Yes, the differential penalty. It's amazing with an Oldham feed, and it came out Sheffield side, and then Oldham are penalised. They just can't understand the man's reasoning, but he's the man in charge in the middle, and we've just got to put up with it, haven't we? But it's Sheffield Eagles in possession. 10 yards inside the Oldham half. 12 points to 4. Eagles are in the lead, and we've had 24 minutes of play. Tony Farrell attacked in halfback. Moves it to the right. Well, it certainly looked a little high there, as I think it was Darryl Powell moving over. The touch judge is on, and I think it's Donald Powell. Well, he sent him off. That's a yellow card, I think. He sent him straight off. It must be the red card. I think it's Broadbent. No, Sherratt, I beg your pardon. I think it's Sherratt that's been dismissed.
Sheffield, 10 yards outside the 25, banging into touch. So once again, there's 6 tackles to come from a good attacking position.
Yes, Sheffield on the charge now. He's up and about now. I think it was Donald Powell that caught the full force of that, but it's amazing, isn't it? It's pronounced dead and up the next minute. Well, it shows you the effect of the tackle, but it's Eagles putting on a charge. 12-4 in the lead. Pressurising Oldham. And strong running, and this could pay dividends for the Eagles. Tony Farrell at dummy half. But a knock-on indicated there that the play the ball, a sloppy play the ball as far as Sheffield are concerned, putting pressure on Oldham, less than 10 yards from the Oldham line, and they make a complete hash of it. Well, the scrum's turned, the referee will indicate as the scrum has been turned, he wants it reforming. A man down in the Oldham pack. Tommy Martin feeds it, but a slip up, but they got away with it. Looks as though he was going to pick it up and bring it over, but it went the other way, and Sheffield penalised there for not lining up correctly at the play the ball.
Well, the game gone a little bit untidy and a little bit ragged at the moment, both sides making unforced mistakes, and as a result it's brought a great deal of relief to the Oldham side, who are under a lot of pressure near their own line.
Yes, welcome relief, John, as you say, for Oldham. They've all got to play that a little bit harder now. Trailing by 1 man. 26 minutes of the game gone. 12 points to 4. The Eagles are in the lead. Patchnick scampering through there, but wrestled back. Tommy Martin over, but David Plange gathers it. International wingman Plange, but he's quickly dispatched to the earth. Nick Cook. Oldham coached by Peter Tunks, and Peter Tunks used to be at Sheffield. Gary Hetherington is the coach. Sheffield keeping it moving. But Sheffield again. But solid tackling from Oldham. 35 yards away from the Oldham line. Nick Cook attacked in half-back. Aston, short ball, lovely ball to Powell. Can he go in for his third? He can! Excellent try there! Excellent try from Donald Powell, engineered by Mark Aston, spread over to the right, and he come on lovely again. John did Powell to a lovely ball, and his third try of the afternoon.
Well, it's very noticeable that when the Sheffield forwards are driving down the middle of the field, the outside men on the Oldham side, both centres, are being lured and drawn and sucked into the middle, and Sheffield are taking every advantage of it. They're drawing them in, and then the passing has been so beautifully timed. Once again, that was a lovely pass onto Powell, and he was coming onto it at the rate of knots, and Sheffield showing the superiority and drawing ever and ever further away from this depleted Oldham side.
Third, already missed a sitter, you can say, more or less directly in front of the sticks, but well out. So it's Aston, the fella that laid on the ball for Powell. And he moved well there, Powell, international centre three-quarter, and so he should. He's a class act, and he's certainly outstanding this afternoon. So Aston now positioning himself again, as you can see, on the 25-yard line, just to the right of the sticks. composes himself. Well, it's taken away. Another golden opportunity. Going a begging, but it's 16 points to 4. Sheffield here this afternoon by virtue of beating Keighley 72 points to 14 in the first round. In the second round they beat Batley 36-22, a highly entertaining game.
Number 14, Steve Warburton, replacing number 6, Richard Russell.
Well, as you can hear there, Richard Russell coming off and Steve Warburton going on. And the Oldham side there here by virtue of beating Dewsbury 36 points to 18. Then they beat London Crusaders 22-14. They're not getting their act together so far this afternoon. Sheffield, it's all one way so far, but we remember Oldham a few years ago, all but dead and buried, and came back in an excellent second division final. But it's Darryl Powell again, and he's certainly one that'll have to be contended with. They'll have to keep a tight rein on this Powell, John, won't they, for the remainder of the game?
He's having a real class game, a real international centres performance, and the Oldham centres are having an awful job controlling him.
Eagles in possession now. Positional kicking. Duncan Platt takes it well. Has to drive into the Sheffield defence. Hugh Waddell, one of the tacklers in there. Also Cook, Nick Cook, the captain. Patchnick for Oldham, attacking half. Tim Street on as a blood bin replacement for Shane Tapia. And Oldham spreading it quickly. Break for Oldham now up this side. Nicklin, their try scorer, but he's lost possession. Scott Ranson quickly in at the tackle, but obviously an awkward bone of contention. Nicklin thinking that he'd had the ball stolen from him, and as we know, this ball stealing is illegal. Aston inside ball, Sheffield in possession now. Their captain Mick Cook, attacking halfback. Moves it to the right. Mark Aston again. Passes it out. Loose forward, I think that is there. No, beg your pardon. Second row forward, Dale Lawton. Now it's with Richard Price. Making headway up to the Oldham 25. Sixth and final tackle of this sequence. Last time Oldham were in a position like this, they came away with a try. It's Mark Aston. It's on the sixth tackle. The ball's gone back. Well, allegedly knocked on. And that'll constitute a changeover. Solid Eagles defence. 33 minutes of the game gone. 16 points to 4. The Sheffield Eagles lead. Tim Street. Tony Farrell there. One of the tacklers in. Three-man Sheffield contingent. But it's charged down. The ball charged down. And oh, Sheffield, well, they've got possession back. It's all on. Unfortunately, Duncan Platt fluffed it a bit there. Sheffield charged the Oldham kick down, then it went to Duncan Platt and looks as though it was safe. Darryl Powell again in the Oldham 25. So Sheffield will be putting the charge on. Dale Lawton. Tim Street, one of the tacklers in there. Cook at dummy half. Sheffield moving it left. Big gap emerging, and here's Michael lining up. Michael going for the line. Well, he tried to get it round to David Plange, made a complete hash of it. Sheffield still stick to the task, come in and take the Oldham man down behind the line. But a knock on, I think he's given a knock on. A lot of Sheffield pressure again, John. Nearly paid off in a try. Michael did well there.
Well, I thought they should have been in there at the corner. They'd split them wide open, and he seemed to hang on to the ball just a fraction too long. A lot of commitment and a lot of effort from Oldham, but they've got a mighty mountain to climb as they face 12 men against 13.
Yes, Tim Street comes off.
Number 15, Tim Street.
And Tapia back on. And I do believe Sheffield are making a substitution there.
Illegal substitution, number 15, Keith Mumby, replacing number 12, Ian Hughes.
So as you heard there on the PA system, Ian Hughes coming off, Keith Mumby coming on. And there's a name to conjure with there, Keith Mumby. He's been around the scene for quite a while. Many, many years at Bradford Northern. International. But in his latter years at Sheffield Eagles, he's a good campaigner. Certainly got a good head on him. Wily old campaigner who can bring a lot of these youngsters on. So it's Oldham. They're moving it to Keith Newton. The red card it was for Sherratt in the 24th minute. And Oldham down to 12 men. They're in possession, they're trailing 16 points to 4. And their substitutes, Steve Warburton, Patchnick, that's acting half. Oldham move it left. Eva Rapati, class player written all over him. Back inside, oh, excellent into passing by Oldham. They've got to keep this ball moving. To pay her back on, in the thick of it. But Eva Rapati breaking through the tackle on the far side, laying a lovely ball on. Over there to Jed Byrne. But now it's lofted up and under. Pressure there, can Ranson get the ball? Well, he got the ball, but he couldn't touch down. Was forced into touch. Excellent kick by Oldham, putting a lot of pressure on Sheffield. They've got to put some tactics together, haven't they, John?
Well, twice they put that high kick in onto the Sheffield line on each occasion. Sheffield have not been up to it, and they've been very, very fortunate to keep the line intact from those kicks. Winning it from the scrum, they've now got the job of driving it away from their own try line.
Yes, Oldham now pegging Sheffield in their own 25. It's a place that they've got to keep them. It should be very hard. But Hugh Waddell driving in. And every Oldham body has just got to put that little bit of extra effort in. McAllister slips the ball out there, but Sheffield keep it moving. Excellent play. Mick Cook it is that's finally brought down. 50-yard into passing movement there. But Oldham penalised, infringing at the play of the ball. Sheffield did come back up with possession. Mark Gamson thought he might have allowed advantage to go with another 6 tackles with the ball being touched. But Sheffield electing to go for goal. Well, Oldham in the Premiership final, the 3rd time in 5 years. They won in 1988, they beat Featherstone 28 points to 26 in 1990. An epic game with Hull KR, they just came through by 30 points to 29 with Tommy Martin, who's in at scrum half today, scoring the winning try. So both exciting matches with Oldham winning, but they're on the wrong end of a 16 points to 4 scoreline already. And down to 12 men, so a mammoth effort from them this afternoon. Mark Aston now already kicked 99 goals before this afternoon. He's slotted 2 over. So 101, looking for his 102nd. Missed a couple this afternoon. But here he goes, Mark Aston. Taking it across the front of the posts again. And it's gone dead, and it's hit an Oldham player before going dead. So Oldham forced to drop out from under the sticks. Well, unforced error there by Oldham, John, and putting them under a lot of pressure.
A very bad mistake from professional footballers. There was no doubt that ball was going over the dead ball line, and having touched it, they've had to drop out from underneath the post and give possession back. As Sheffield once again organise their attack on the Oldham 25.
Yes, just a minute of normal time plus any stoppage time we've had. Sheffield in possession, and it's going to be all on. It's come off a Sheffield player's head. David plunged, but excellent tackle there. Scott Ranson moving in. Excellent tackle round the waist, man and ball, and forced plunge into touch as Sheffield were moving it across. Very fortunate there with the pass coming out and bouncing off a Sheffield man's head. It was ruled okay. They gathered possession, brought it over to left, but it's Tommy Martin to feed. Oldham off possession, move it quickly, they've got to break quickly. A score before the half-time interval would obviously be crucial. They've certainly got the talent to move it. They've had some good running chances. Rapati being prominent. And he's there again, Rapati. Breaking through, excellent footballer. Keith Newton, he's driving the ball up. Patrick, inside there to Martin, along to Byrne, out to substitute Warburton. Chris Joint, straightening up, sixth and final tackle now. Goes to Tommy Martin, boots it downfield. Well, just gone into added time now. 40 minutes on my watch, 16-4 the score for the Eagles. There's the half-time interval. As I just said, 16-4. Donald Powell with 3 tries. Mark Aston with 2 goals. And unfortunately for Oldham, just that nickling try in the 8th minute when it brought them back into 6 points to 4. Certainly an exciting game, John. 16-4. Oldham still in it, but an uphill battle.
And a highly entertaining first half with some excellent football being played by both sides, but especially by the Sheffield Eagles. They've had a little bit of good fortune with the bounce of the ball. Twice on their own line, Sheffield made a real mess of kicks through from Oldham. Ball bouncing away from them, bouncing fortunately for them, and Oldham not able to take advantage. Oldham have fought hard and they fought gallantly, but it's they've a real struggle on their hands with a man short through an unfortunate head-high tackle in what has been an extremely clean game.
Back with you now for the second half of this divisional playoff. Tim Street back on for Oldham. He's replaced Shane Tupeya at half-time. The man he came on to replace for a blood bin replacement earlier in the first half. Oldham with an uphill battle, trailing 16 points to 4. Well, I do beg your pardon, he has given Duncan Platt. I thought it was Shane Tupeya. But Duncan Platt off the field. I stand corrected. What an early penalty to Sheffield. They certainly dominated the first half, but Oldham down to 12 men. Mick Cook to get us underway, on to Hugh Waddell. Sheffield moving it quickly, moving it over to the left. Paul Broadbent, big forward. Mick Cook, attacked in half-back. Misses out to Tony Farrell, takes it on to Dale Lawton. They're moving up field, 10-15 yards further towards the Oldham 25. Now again, moving it quickly, Richard Price. McAllister looming on his right. But he has to take the tackle of Tim Street. Aston, on to Tony Farrell. Diagonal run, big, strong runner. Sixth and final tackle now, 20 yards from the Oldham line. Sheffield moving it now, the drop goal attempt from Aston. Waved away, always worth a chance, I suppose, even though you are in the lead by 16 points to 4. Eva Rapati. He can't get any worse. Solid tackling from Sheffield. Patchnick attacked in half. Oldham moving it over to the far side. Steve Warburton coming into the action. Tim Street straightens it up. Farrell, Cook quickly in there. The tackle's completed. But Oldham again got to try everything in the repertoire to get through this tight Sheffield defence. They've just penetrated it on the one occasion, but they had a couple of chances that just went a-begging. Chip kick through there by Rapati. Aston couldn't take it, but Sheffield moved quickly. An excellent ball there to Maiko in support. Maiko hurrying down the touchline. Oh, what a superb try! Well, a forward pass given there, the referee on the far side. Well, I think he's given a forward pass. It's a scrum down anyway, John. Very unlucky there, John Michael.
Yes, neither side really seemed to have got into top gear in this half, and then suddenly a beautiful little kick through from Oldham. It didn't come off for them. And in the twinkling of an eye, Sheffield had turned defence into attack and were most unfortunate not to get a really spectacular try.
Yes, well, we'll have to watch that again, John, to see what the infringement was, won't we? Because Michael was hurrying down the touchline. Crossing, is that what he gave, John? Well, I don't know, he gave a scrum down, but well, for whatever reason, because Michael came through, he had that ball, what seems for an age, moving down the touchline, but it was waved away. And Oldham have possession now. Tim Street running hard and strong. And Oldham spreading it again. Diagonal run there. Chris Joint. He certainly attracted the interest of a few First Division clubs as Joint. Strong runner. Tommy Martin getting things away. Jed Byrne, ex-Wigan and Wakefield campaigner. He brings the ball into the Sheffield half now. Patchnick brings it blindside onto Tim Street. Looking for support. He gets it there and Oldham keep it moving. Chris Joint, lovely ball to Patchnick. And Oldham keep going. Patchnick did well. He's still not tackled. Well, the referee was holding his hand up, but Patchnick kept on going. It's the sixth and final tackle now. And Tommy Martin. Inside ball there, yes. Can he score? No. Unlucky there, very unlucky. Oldham trying to force it. The handover is given. Sean Tyrer just couldn't squeeze in. But Oldham, John there, just tried to force it. Could have paid off, but tight Sheffield tackling.
Desperate Sheffield tackling, actually only just managed to save the day. They really had to backpedal, and there was some fine interpassing between Oldham, but just inches short of the line it broke down, and now Sheffield making a mistake, so we're scrumming down.
Yes, a knock-on given, just one pass too many there, but it's been paying off for them so far. Just touching his fingertips, going to ground, scrum down, Oldham feed, and a chance for Oldham to build now. They get the heel from the scrum. Quick hands is the order of the day. Rapati, well, out to Tyre, but it went right through his hands, and it's Maiko for Sheffield that comes up with it. Sheffield keeping it going. Well, it looked a very high tackle there by Tommy Martin. The man staying down, the old professionalism coming into it. He came over the top. I think it was only a glancing blow, but he's going to be brought out and spoken to. Martin being spoken to there in the presence of Captain Richard Russell. And Richard Russell back on at half-time. I think he'll have come on for Tapia. We'll have Street on for Tapia and Richard Russell back on for Duncan Platt, won't we? That'll probably be the order of the day. But it's Sheffield in possession. Hugh Waddell taking it up to the Oldham 25. No score at present in the second half, even though Sheffield have been over the whitewash. They're keeping it going. Maiko linking up. It was Maiko that went over. But an earlier infringement was ruled and it was brought back. Still the score remains at 16 points to 4. And Aston there looking sharp, feeds the ball inside. Sheffield keeping it going. 5 yards short of the Oldham line. And Oldham defence is going to be tested again. Aston, quick hands to Waddell. Strong runner, but excellently clamped. Well, I'm saying excellently clamped. How he got that away, I don't know. He's held up, over the line, held up. Couldn't touch down. Yes, he's on his back, John, you're right. Good defence from Oldham there.
Yes, he really had to pull out all the stops there, as there was a lot of interchanging among the Eagles' attack. Referee not happy with the scrummaging as we back down 5 yards out from the Sheffield line. The Oldham line, I beg your pardon.
Here's Tommy Martin to feed. Referee Cummins wants it packed correctly. Oldham come away with it, try to break quickly. But back into the fray. I think that's Joint coming through. Certainly looked a little high as Mumby came in. But Oldham now, got to spread it. Rapati looks sharp, looks a class player, this Rapati. He gets it away to Street. He takes it up centre field. And a chance now for Oldham. Street, excellent run there. 35, 40-yard run. And Oldham have got to keep the impetus up. But Sheffield are penalised for an infringement at the play the ball, pushing the man off as he got up to play the ball. So Oldham just slightly losing the impetus. A free kick for Oldham. Sean Tyrer with the penalty award. Poor kick that from Tyrer, really. Only finds touch about 2 or 3 yards inside the Sheffield half. Scott Ranson coming into the field of play. Forced back there. 1-to-1 tackling, but strong tackling it is. Keith Newton barging his way forward. Now it's Tim Street. Well, that was a high tackle on Street by Farrell. And obviously the Oldham contingent, they think at baying for blood, really. They expect a Sheffield man to be sent off, as Oldham are down to 12 men. But I suppose it's just how the tackle was. I mean, the tackle on the far side, it's certainly a stiff arm as the man was running through. But a penalty to Oldham. A chance now for them to build a platform.
The Sheffield Eagles substitution, number 14, Ted replacing number 11, Dale Lawton.
So Lum coming on for Lawton in the Sheffield side. 10 minutes gone of the second half, no score in the second half. As Keith Newton powering his way 10 yards short of the Sheffield line. They've got to get points on the board. Out to Agarapati. Good ball on the far side and Oldham driving through. The ball still in play. The referee allowing play to go on. Obviously the man wasn't completely tackled, but he's took a knock there. To be realistically, John, Oldham, they've got to score first to get back in the game, trailing 16 points to 4.
Well, they seem to keep making the openings. That was a great run by Street right down the middle of the field, and yet nothing came of it. And over here in the corner, they were almost in, right on the try line, and yet just couldn't make it on the last tackle. And one of the rare incursions into the Sheffield 25, but a man injured and a man down. It's going to be a hard graft out there. It's very, very hot on the ground, very hard. So it's going to need a mighty effort from Oldham.
Yes, but they're on the charge now. They're putting it together. Yes, Jedburn. He must be in for a try. Yes, nearly behind the sticks. Excellent play there, just as we were saying that Oldham have got to get back into the swing of things, and that's the score that could bring them back in the game. Oldham bringing the ball across with the injured player there on the far right. Then they brought it across field. Byrne got hold of it. He saw the gap. He went for it. And he curved round unopposed and touched down just to the left of the sticks. just what Oldham needed, John, and it'll bring them back into the game.
Well, that should lift their heads a bit. I don't know where that gap came from, but it seemed to open a mile wide. And Gerard Byrne, a great footballer, a clever footballer. A lot of Wigan people were very sad when he left them to go elsewhere, but he'd played so many positions for the Wigan side, could never really make one his own, that eventually he decided his future lay going elsewhere, but he went through extremely well for that, and there it goes over again for another 2 points, bringing Oldham right back into a game.
There are just 2 changes to the St Helens
16 points to 10 now.
At number 6, Thierry Party, and at number 14, Jonathan Griffiths. Wigan are as programmed.
Sheffield to kick off, a rare occurrence obviously, and Oldham gratefully accept it. They're looking to get back further, just trailing by that one converted try. 16 points to 10 the score. Excellent try there from Jed Byrne, a class footballer, class written all over him. And now it's Tim Street again, battled hard. Turns the ball inside, excellent transference to Patchnewick. Quarter of an hour gone and everything to play for. Oldham in possession, spreading it over to the right. Well, Oldham will have to capitalise on it. Did it touch the Sheffield man? It did. And the tackle count is waved clean. And Oldham now certainly putting a bit of a purple patch shirt together. Tim Street quickly unloads. Is it Jed Byrne? No, it's Chris Joint. But has Sheffield had the ball? I don't know whether they have. No, the referee's yes, indicated yes. My co-commentator John just pointing out that the touch judge's signal to the referee that the ball was knocked forward. It'll be a scrum down, it'll be a Sheffield feed. An unforced error from Oldham. Just outside their own 25. Sheffield moving it quickly. Powell again coming inside. The tackle's completed this time. Now it's Mark Aston. Tony Farrell running strong on a diagonal run for the corner. He gets the ball inside. Sheffield still moving it. Down in that bottom right-hand corner. Oldham forced to defend. Farrell scoops it up. Sheffield spreading it now. McAllister. Mumby gets the ball away, but it's a forward pass. And the try wasn't scored correctly either. Very unlucky there again, Sheffield. They nearly got in at the corner. It's going to be a scrum down. That final pass, John, from Mumby, if he could have just got it away cleanly, they'd have been in again with the Eagles.
Yeah, it's a little bit of quick handling there, and they would have been in. They'd created the gap. The opening was a mile wide, and then once again the final pass going astray.
But Oldham have possession. Patchnick attacked in half. Tommy Martin, he gets the ball away, and now Oldham spreading it. Looking for that little bit of room, that little bit of magic, and we must remember they've been down to 12 men from the 24th minute. When Sherratt was dismissed for a high tackle on Darryl Powell. Tommy Martin, little chip kick through, sits up nice for, well, I thought it had sat up nice for him, but it's kicked back. Sheffield have possession, very unlucky there. And that's what it's all about. If you just get the bounce of the ball, the rub of the green. But lovely flighted kick from Tommy Martin. But Sheffield there, counter-attacking. David Planger's possession. Brought down on the halfway line, about 10 yards in from the stand on the far side. Still throwing it about to Sheffield. Excellent dummy and sidestep there. Superb rugby there. Tim Lumity, the substitute back. Aston along the line now. Darryl Powell trying to create the gap. He does to McAllister. He pushes the defence up. Yes, McAllister's in. Oh, he's given it as he's bounced it. Well, the referee right on the job there, and McAllister going in, but it looked a good try to me, John.
Well, I'm not quite so sure. He was very much harassed as he was trying to get the ball down. And once again, Sheffield had created the gaps. desperate defence by Oldham. Harassed McAllister right on the line, and the referee was very, very close to it and had no hesitation at all in disallowing it. Back to you, Ron.
Yes, thanks, John.
Duncan Platt returning for number 5, Sean Tyrer.
So Duncan Platt coming on to replace Sean Tyrer. Took a knock earlier on. Now it's Chris Joint into space now. Support there on his right, but Joint going through. Patchnick attacked in half-back. Oldham coming right back into it now. So the Oldham spectators just getting behind them now. There's the Oldham substitute, Steve Warburton. He's in the clear, is Warburton. He's going for the line. It's brought down just a yard short. It's the 6th and final tackle now. And wouldn't it, if Oldham could get a try here, they've got to run it. The bunch in, it's on now, it's still with Oldham. It's Keith Newton. Yes, he's in. Oh, excellent try there from Keith Newton. Steve Warburton there doing a hell of a lot of the spade work. He was brought down just a yard or so short. Then the ball was brought over and it looked as though Oldham were all bunched. But yet that man there, Newton, he got the ball. He was stood still more or less. It looked as though everything was dead. It was on the 6th tackle and he riddled his way over, powered his way over. An excellent try, John. And this goal conversion attempt will bring Oldham back on level terms.
And there for a couple of seconds, the Sheffield defence seemed to be completely mesmerised. Oldham kept the ball alive, and the scores are level, and we've got a great final on our hands now.
Yes, Martin converts it, 16 points apiece. No problem, 20 minutes of the half to gone, 20 minutes to go, and Oldham coming back from the dead, and especially at the other end when Charlie McAllister just had a try disallowed. I mean, they've had a couple of tries disallowed of Sheffield, but Oldham stuck to the task there from one end of the field, forced to defend, to the other to score. The kick-off just bobbling a bit in the face there of Vince Nicklin, but he managed to come away with the ball. And Oldham now, they'll have the tails up. Certainly a game of two halves. Street getting it away to Jedburn. Tries to duck under the tackle. Long ball, Chris Joint takes it back infield, gets it away to Tim Street. Street driving upfield, looking for support, gives the hand up, drives up. Oh, just that one pass too many there. If he could have just stuck hold of it, Street, but he saw the man on his right, tried to get it away to him, and unfortunately he went to a Sheffield hand. But what a pulsating, exciting game we've got here. Good tackle there from Tommy Martin on Hugh Waddell. Tim Lum attacked in half-back for Sheffield. It's on to Donald Powell, inside to David Plange. Plange goes on the outside of Scott Ranson, but Ranson comes into him. But Sheffield making headway. 35 yards upfield, Aston now. Short ball there, on to substitute Keith Mumby. The tackle now completed. It's the 6th and final one in this sequence. And Aston, they're coming away with it. Oldham will have to tackle. Oh, he's going to be in at the corner. Well, quick transfer into the ball. I think it's Maiko that's gone in for the try. Linking up from the full-back position. That was on the 6th tackle. Keith Mumby middle field, and then it was quickly transferred over to the left. I think it was Maiko, John, that came through, got over for the try, and that's a bitter blow to Oldham.
Well, this is real end-to-end stuff, and thrill after thrill coming as attacks break down. One team surges to the other end, and their attack breaks down, and the opposition take it away, and we're having a real feast of football here as Sheffield Eagles looked as if they were wilting somewhat there after the Oldham scored, Oldham had levelled, and suddenly they seem to find new fire, new pace, new strength in those weary legs as Maicon goes over a yard from the corner flag. A lot of the attempts have not been anywhere near the post at all, a couple of flappers, otherwise they could well be out of sight.
So Sean Tyrer quickly back on, blood bin substitution for Richard Pashnik. The customary 15 minutes to get this man patched up, but it's Darryl Powell in the clear, bringing it away. Oldham managed to wrestle him to the ground, but he's one you've got to watch. Well, Sheffield losing possession, Oldham should have it. It's play on. Unforced error by Sheffield there, and Tim Street had a blockbusting game. Had an early 10-15 minutes run out as a blood bin substitution, and then came on at half-time. Fortepayer, and he's certainly run hard and strong and true in this second half. Tyrer back in at the action. Now it's Oldham pressing, joint. Tommy Martin, back to Jedburn, back to Tommy Martin. Looked in the clear there, just couldn't break through. Faddle one of the tacklers, but Oldham running it. They'll have to make it count. Eva Rapati, sixth and final tackle now. Burn at dummy half, Oldham take it inside. It's now with substitute Warburton. Yes, it's on to Joint. Oh, just couldn't break the tackle. Excellent rugby from Oldham on the sixth tackle, throwing it about. Both sides capable of throwing it about. And Oldham just can't get that killer punch, just trailing by 20 points to 16. An excellent game, came back well, and in the season this year, or in this season I should say, the 1991-92 season, in the second division, only 8 teams, and they all play each other 4 times, as you can guess. 38-12, Sheffield beat Oldham at Walter Sheddings, 44-18 in the other game, and then at the Don Valley Stadium, a 16 points apiece draw, and Oldham won at Don Valley by 14 points to 10. So tightly contested game there. It's tightly contested this afternoon. 20 points to 16 the score in the Eagles' favour, and we've got 14 minutes of normal time remaining. Oldham breaking away. Jedburn, I think it is, he gets the ball, and Oldham is spreading it. Excellent transference. Oh, just couldn't take it there. Duncan Platt coming through. Sheffield forced to get back on side, but Timmy Street looking for support. Oldham are there spreading it. Now with Chris Joint. No, beg your pardon. It's Keith Newton. Long ball. Quick hands, that's the order of the day. Oldham are keeping it going. Yes, lovely ball there. The Oldham wingman up the line. Sidesteps inside. Yes, excellent try. Scott Ranson into the corner. An excellent try there, finished off by Scott Ranson. He did well there. He showed the class of a true wingman, took his opposition on the outside, just shimmied to come inside, created that little bit of space, went down the touchline and touched down in the corner. Excellent try, John, which brings Oldham back onto level terms yet again. Well, certainly, John, when Oldham are in these finals, the entertainment is first class, as we said in '88, a close game 2 years ago. They just managed to win by 30 points to 29 right at the end. So full marks for entertainment. But a substitute there being made on the Eagles side. Ian Hughes going back on.
Returning from the blood bin for Oldham, number 9, Richard Ashnock, replacing number 5, Sean Tyrer. And the Eagles substitution, and number 12, Ian Hughes, returning for number 8, Paul Broadbent.
So Broadbent coming off, and Hughes back on for the Eagles. Pashnik back on for Oldham. The score's all tied, 20 points apiece. Well, I suppose if they're all tied at the 80 minutes, they'll have to have a little bit of injury time, extra time I should say. And we've got the main game, the Premiership final, kicking off at 3:30. But it's Tim Street for Oldham. Oldham shrugs the tackle off, turns it inside. Sheffield have it. It's knocked down by a Sheffield player. Keith Mumby picks it up. So Street there just throwing caution to the wind. Hugh Waddell powering his way forward. Excellent prop forward. Good grafter is Waddell. Into the Oldham 25. Aston, short ball on to Ian Hughes. And he's inching his way forward. 5 yards from the Oldham line now. Tim Lum at dummy half. Inside ball to Aston. Gives the dummy, takes it himself. Well, Michael linking up again. Just brought down short. Tim Lum from acting half back is in. Yes, Lum's in.
Not one of the most spectacular tries, but 4 points still the same, and what a vital 4 points as this score changes and changes. And there must be a lot of pressure and a lot of tension and a lot of emotion out there among these players as they battle it out in these dying minutes of what has been a really good final. And there is another 2 points in Oldham's coffin.
Certainly full value for money. And if the First Division Premiership final is as exciting as this, which I've no doubt it will be, we have a lot to look forward to, and certainly a good day out, a fine day out, excellent weather here at Old Trafford. But now Oldham back in the fray. They've got to try and get possession, hold Sheffield up there at that end of the ground. But it's Sheffield spreading it quickly. Donald Powell inside to David Plange, over the halfway line. Plange plays it. Aston, little chip kick. But obviously he's been impeded in his efforts to get through. Oldham are penalised for the shoulder charge on Aston as he went through, and a penalty going Sheffield's way. I think he's going to have a go for goal. Yes, he certainly is. Mark Aston, he's kicked 3 this afternoon. He must have missed about 3 or 4. But this will give Sheffield the 8-point cushion if he's successful. They did have a 12-point cushion at one stage. 16 points to 4 at half-time was the score. But Oldham hit back 2 tries within the space of 7 minutes in the second half to level the scores. 2 tries and 2 goals, obviously, to level the scores. But after a seesaw game, certainly plenty of scoring, as John would say, a feast of tries. And it's Aston now, looking to slot this one over. 35 yards out, 10-15 yards to the left of the sticks. Well flighted, well, the crowd like it. Well, the Sheffield section of the crowd like it, don't they?
Well, that was a very, very important kick, and it went over. Put a lot of power and a lot of accuracy into it, and so they've got a good cushion now as they've come into the last 5 minutes of this great final.
Yes, Sheffield have possession. 28 points to 20 they lead. They certainly went into a dull patch in the early 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes of the second half. But they're back on top now. They have had a couple of tries disallowed. And Oldham have capitalised on some loose play and loose tackling. But it's Eagles that pump the ball downfield. Duncan Platt back on. Into the full-back position. Breaks it quickly. Eva Rapati gives the dummy, but has to take the tackle. They had Vince Nicklin on his outside, but he elected to take the tackle there, did Rapati. And that movement came to a halt. Oldham in possession. Get it away, keeping it moving. Joint, strong runner. Patchnick attacked in half-back. Quick transfer into the ball. There again, the gap nearly emerging there as Rapati sent Platt into a hole, but Rapati at dummy half. Richard Russell on to Keith Newton, on to Joint. Tim Street takes it, but it's a forward pass. Yes, Joint tried to get things going. Tim Street was on his outside. Well, Darryl Powell there, John, with 3 tries in the first half, but a sterling performance from Tim Street. Both probably in contention for the man of the match.
And I think Tim Street's done a tremendous forward grab, but here come the Eagles again, and they're going, oh, and the referee bringing them back for a forward pass. They'd cut them open cleanly, side through, and the referee right in line with it, brings them back. And so it's still hell for leather as these two teams battle it out in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes, unlucky again there, Sheffield, but he was right on the job, the referee. The pass was ruled forward, and Oldham back in possession now. But in the last 4 minutes, an uphill battle. They've 8 points to overcome. 28 points to 20. The trailing. Eva Rapati in the break. Support there, Duncan Platt's with him. Tony Farrell going over the top, but Platt gets up quickly to play it. Oldham now running it. Jed Byrne gives the dummy. Long ball out to Joint. He can't take it cleanly. He knocks it forward. Jed Byrne there with a long cut-out pass. Joint couldn't take it cleanly. The Sheffield defence was coming in on him. He knocked it forward, regathered it, forced a knock on, a scrum down. So the final substitution of the afternoon, Dale Lawton coming back on to replace Hugh Waddell. Both sides using their 4 changes of players, and Sheffield with a penalty award. Fine touch midway between the Oldham 25 and the halfway line. Just about 2 minutes of normal time remaining. 28 points to the Eagles, 20 points to the Roughheads. And Oldham, they've done well, they've competed well, they've got back into the game, and they've been down to 12 men from the 24th minute. So it certainly looks now, barring a miracle, that Eagles are going to be the divisional premiers. Aston gives the dummy, takes it back towards the posts, just brought down 8 yards short. Tim Lum attacked in half-back for the Eagles. McAllister running hard and strong. Tim Lum again. The drop goal attempt from Darryl Powell. Well, it's touched Tim Street, it's knocked back. It's Eagles with another 6 tackles. And it's Keith Mumby driving towards the line. Another 6 tackles now. It's Powell went for a drop goal, it came back. Oldham couldn't take it cleanly, it hit Tim Street. But Sheffield are driving again towards the line. Dale Lawton just come back on. Oldham forced to defend again. Tim Lum. Inside ball to Aston, short ball to Mumby. Yes, Mumby's in, under the sticks, right at the death. Well, a little unfortunate there for Oldham. It was Powell that tried the drop goal, as we say. It hit the left hand upright, it bounced back, it touched Tim Street. Sheffield came in possession, and from the resulting tackles and play forward, it was brought to just short of the Oldham line, and then Keith Mumby coming through on a short ball there, but just about his distance that now, John. Keith Mumby just a couple of yards, but an excellent try.
Yeah, but he knew where to be at the right time. took it, finished it off well. Oldham were fighting desperately on their own line, and there were loose ball, were knocked back, giving them...
The man of the match, the winner of the Tom Bergin Trophy and prize money sponsored by Stones Bitter, from Sheffield Eagles, number 4, Darryl Powell.
And Powell, the man who devastated the Oldham defence in the first half, has been made man of the match, and there goes the conversion, and this trophy should be safely in the bag, and there goes the final. Your last thoughts on the game, Ron?
Yes, well, Sheffield are an excellent display from them, but probably the final score, the 14-point cushion, not doing justice to Oldham. But full marks to both sides this afternoon. Oldham plugging away, considering they was down to 12 men from the 24th minute. They went in trailing 16-4 at half-time. Then it was all Oldham. They brought the scores up to 16 points apiece, and then it was nip and tuck. It was a try for Maiko, put Sheffield in the league, then a try for Ranson that put the scores level again at 20 points apiece. Then it was in the last 10 minutes, Lum with a try right from the play of the ball. Aston goaled it. It put Sheffield in the lead, 26-20. Then a penalty goal 3 minutes later extended the lead to 8 points. And then Mumby, just at the death, as we say, he's always there and about, just about his level, he knew his distance, I should say. He knew where to be at the right place at the right time. And Sheffield go in as the divisional Premiership trophy winners. So an excellent display. Darryl Powell named as man of the match. He had an excellent first half, always there and about. 3 tries, a good hat-trick of tries. And those were both sets of teams going round, applauding their public, the travelling public. A good final, John. As I said, if the First Division Premiership's is good, and we know it will be, we have a lot to look forward to.
A great final, an entertaining final, showing all the best qualities that are to be seen in rugby league. We had strength, we had speed, we had skill. Great attitude from both sets of players, of determination and commitment. One must commiserate with the Oldham side, and yet a lot of praise must go to this young Sheffield team, only 8 years in the game, who built themselves up so well, and this afternoon gave us a fine feast of football in a fantastic display in this final.